Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Michael Greger coming to you live from my treadmill, my stationary treadmill, so don't make anybody seasick. For those of you unfamiliar with my work, every year I read through every issue of every English language nutrition journal in the world, so busy folks like you don't have to. I think about all the most interesting, most groundbreaking, most practical findings and new videos and articles I upload nearly every day to my nonprofit site, nutritionfacts.org. Everything on the website is free. There's no ads, no corporate sponsorship, strictly non-commercial, not selling anything. Just put it up as a public service, as a labor of love, as a tribute to my grandmother, whose own life was saved with evidence-based nutrition. Let us go to your questions. Notes. There we go. Where's my questions? Okay, first question I see is from Ilya that says, is it harmful to experience daily gas after eating beans? The fermentation of fiber, just like the fermentation of beer and fermentation of sauerkraut, whatever, causes gas formation. So it shows that it's working, that you're actually producing the byproducts of fiber, like short chain fatty acids, that have such beneficial effects not only in the gut but throughout the body. So you say, well, wait a second. All right, do I have to deal with gas the rest of my life? No, because just as there are gut bugs that produce gas, there are gut bugs that eat gas, that consume gas. And so in that first initial transition to eating higher fiber foods, there may be an increase in gas production, but you just have to wait a few weeks for the fostering of the growth of the gut of the gas consuming bugs. And so then you have the best of both worlds: no gas, no bloating, no anything, high fiber, all sorts of benefits. You just have to. Some people can just do it overnight and not worry about it. But if you are experiencing gas or bloating, then just work your way up slower in terms of increasing your fiber intake. Okay, next question by Robert. Any foods lower secretory IgA, which these are the antibodies produced by our mucous membranes, like in our mouth, our nose. Why would we want to lower it? That doesn't make any sense to me. There are foods that you can use to boost your immunity, like nutritional yeast, for example, or any kind of yeast. Brewers, bakers, or nutritional yeast boost your IgA, which is maybe why if you randomize, marathon runners to nutritional yeast or not, you can significantly cut down on the risk of subsequent respiratory infections. I do not know why you'd want to lower it. Okay, Adeline says, it's a nutritional yeast question. Nutritional yeast, okay, I have been in complete remission from Crohn's disease for over 40 years. I encourage anyone with two conditions, Crohn's disease or a condition known as hidradenitis suppurativa, to stay away from yeast. It's wonderful that you've been, I'm tempted to say, look, been in remission for 40 years, whatever you're doing is working. But yeah, probably a good idea just because it may increase your risk of future relapse. Okay. This is Sillyhead, not 1, not 2, but number 5 says, how much strawberry or powder gives us the fisetin dose that I command you to have? Interesting. So we don't know what the optimal dose of strawberries are. So basically, if you look at the in my book, How Not to Age, I just encourage people to eat fresh strawberries, frozen strawberries, or freeze-dried strawberries every day. I didn't give a dose because we don't know what the dose is. We know how much fisetin each serving of strawberries have, but we don't know the level at which it would maximize its senolytic activity, which is why I encourage people to eat strawberries. Which is, eliminating these pro-inflammatory zombie cells throughout your body. And so we just don't know what the dose is. So we don't know how many strawberries to eat. So I just tell people to include strawberries in their daily diet. I just do the freeze-dried strawberry powder and mix it in either with my smoothies or my oat groats in the morning. All right. Matt gives me some emojis. That's great. Next up, Jamie says ankylosing spondylitis, psoriasis, and psoriatic arthritis. What can we do to improve symptoms, improve quality of life? Oh, I've got a book for you, How Not to Hurt, on lifestyle approaches to pain management. This is exactly what I'm working on right now. And so I have a whole chapter on psoriatic arthritis. I'll cover ankylosing spondylitis in my back pain chapter, the kind of the spine chapter, and the answer is I don't know, but I'm going to find out, and it'll be published December 2026. Stay tuned. Okay, next up, Emily says, I made the transition to plant-based, feeling great. That's great. Oh, but initially had headaches and dizziness. Why was that? That is a good question. Maybe there's some kind of food sensitivity, and you all of a sudden started eating more of something that you normally would eat less of. Dizziness, I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know if you're on high blood pressure medications and you didn't drop your dose and started treating the cause by improving your artery function. You could certainly get lightheaded, which could be dangerous because you fall over, hurt yourself. So you need to, anyone taking blood sugar lowering drugs or blood pressure lowering drugs needs to start eating healthier with under the guidance of their prescribing physician so they can wean you off these drugs as your body heals naturally. Okay, Alexander says, how many grams? Oh, another dose question. Dried amla powder. Again, we don't know what the optimal dose is. I take a quarter teaspoon a day. Is that the right amount? We have no idea. But I do have a video I do coming out as part of a webinar in July talking about all the weird little powders I take. And that's part of my BAT powder, which is black cumin, amla, and turmeric. In I forget, a 4:3:4 ratio. I'll have to look at that. Have to look at the video. Anyway, all right. Next up, Alberto says, if we don't want the caffeine, we don't want the caffeine effective tea, what about taking an EGCG supplement? Would I recommend them? I would not, because there's lots of, so EGCG is a compound found in green tea. And so supplement manufacturers want to pretend as if they know what the active ingredient. There's thousands of different compounds in green tea, but they think it's the EGCG, but who knows? And maybe there's synergistic effects where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So I encourage people to eat whole food, which is, in the case of tea, would be something like matcha. We actually eat the green tea powder. You want to get it from Japan, not China, because we're worried about the lead content in the soil there. And you say, well, wait a second, what about the caffeine? Get decaf. You can get decaffeinated green tea. And so you don't have to worry about the caffeine. Okay. How many nuts is too much? Well, I encourage people to eat, let me see, in How Not to Age, I believe half an ounce a day or an ounce a day, which is about a handful of nuts every day. Walnuts are probably the best. And can you eat too much? Well, I mean, only in terms of two reasons. One, you could, they're so calorically dense, you could exclude other things in your diet if all you did was eat nuts. And also, you don't want to eat more than a cup of nuts at a time because of the oxalate content could increase your risk of kidney stones. No more than a cup a day. Christian says, some doctors say that sugar is the cause of cardiovascular disease. How does it contribute? Well, we do know that high sugar consumption is associated with higher rates of cardiovascular disease. There may be confounding factors. Maybe they're eating less healthy diets, etc. We know that the primary driver of our primary killer, heart disease in both men and women, is LDL cholesterol, and you can actually randomize people to eat sugar versus the same amount of calories of starch, and actually see a rising in LDL cholesterol on the sugar rather than the starch. And so if indeed it's the cause and effect relationship between sugar and cardiovascular disease, presumably it would be through LDL cholesterol. Next up, Spun Me Buddy says, what would I recommend someone who supplements B12 but still has chronically low levels? Now, so the question is, how are you measuring those levels? So serum B12 levels are actually not a great test for B12 status. Actually, I have five video series. I think 5 video series coming up on the latest in vitamin B12. I don't know if you're measuring something like urine methylmalonic acid level, or homocysteine levels, which give more kind of a functional picture of B12 sufficiency. You should be able to get your B12 levels as high as you want through oral supplementation. And worst comes to worst, if you have some kind of neuropathy, an empiric trial of B12 injections, again, will get you all the B12 you could ever hope for. Easy peasy lemon squeezy says hello. That's nice. Hello, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Red Pole HS. Been eating a whole food plant-based diet for 10 years, yet still have high CRP, C-reactive protein levels, which is a marker of inflammation within the body. I already eat turmeric, but should I still supplement with curcumin? No, I would not supplement with curcumin unless there was a special indication for it. So I encourage you to eat a more, well, first of all, see if there's, as always, treat the cause, right? Maybe there's some underlying inflammatory process that ideally we would treat first. But if your physician just cannot figure out why you have higher levels of inflammation, you can certainly try eating an anti-inflammatory diet, which is not just a plant-based diet, which is basically synonymous with an anti-inflammatory diet, but one that decreases saturated fat, not all of which are from animal sources, right? Tropical oils, palm kernel oil, palm oil, coconut oil has saturated fat, which increases inflammation. Trans fats, dietary cholesterol, all increase inflammation. And then there's all sorts of anti-inflammatory foods. The most anti-inflammatory food component, number one, is fiber. So we're talking about the drier whole plant foods like legumes and whole grains, particularly groats. And then flavones actually are the second most anti-inflammatory food component, which is found concentrated in chamomile tea. You can give that a try as well. Okay, Chad says platelets, 130,000. They're claiming that's kind of low, but eat lots of berries and garlic for better heart function. I'm all in favor of eating berries and garlics. I would not worry about that platelet number unless it was on the decline. So, you can follow up. Okay, is 60 to 80 grams of fiber a day too much for the human species? No, we probably evolved getting triple digits fiber. So based on paleo poo, fossilized Paleolithic feces from human beings, looks like we're getting like 120 grams of fiber a day. So look, you're only getting half as much as we evolved to eat. 60 to 80 is a great target. That's what people eating really healthy diets like those on the Ornish program or something, eating diets centered around whole plant foods, you should be able to get up to that level. Of all of the 50 or so nutrients that are tracked in the American diet, the number one nutrient deficiency in terms of percentage of the population deficient in nutrient is fiber intake. 97% of Americans not reaching the minimum daily intake of fiber, but you are doing much better. Matthew says, daily fiber. For fat loss, trying to decrease body fat percentage. There's the target is to eat whole plant foods, and you will just naturally get lots of fiber-rich foods. And you say, well, wait a second, I eat lots of fruits and vegetables. The last thing I need is more fiber. But look, vegetables about 80% water, fruit about 90% water. It's really these drier plant foods like the whole grains and the legumes, which are only like 70% water, have more fiber per serving. Okay, another Matt. Are ground flaxseeds still beneficial if eaten raw? Sure, indeed. There is a cap, though. You can check out my video on the cyanide content of raw flaxseeds to find the upper limit. But certainly my recommendation for a tablespoon of ground flax seeds every day is well within the bounds. As part of my daily dozen, available as a free app on iPhone and Android of all the healthiest of healthy foods I encourage people to fit into their daily routine. Hello, Cindy says hello from Pennsylvania, and just says nice things and thanks me. That's very nice. Next up, Ellen says has a calcium score. There's a coronary calcium score. Do you think it's okay to take a 20 milligram statin? Well, different statins have different dosing. I presume maybe that's a rosuvastatin or something, along with an 80% plant-based diet. Well, look, I mean, if you have, that means you have heart disease, right? And so you shouldn't be on 100. You should not be on 80% plant-based diet. You should be on 100% plant-based diet. And if that doesn't get your LDL low enough, then I would add statins. And if that doesn't get low enough, I would up the dose of statins. If that doesn't get your LDL low enough, I would add second classes of drugs to get your LDL as low as possible. I have a webinar coming up in July talking about all the things you can do about your diet to naturally lower cholesterol, but that doesn't necessarily mean it would be sufficient to drop your levels low enough. And so this is based on your 10-year risk. I have a video on all the risk calculators and at what a 10-year risk of cardiovascular events statin drugs are recommended. So you can calculate that and see what the recommendations say. Okay, Heavy IG 1948. How can I fix my thyroid? Battled for 10 years. Oh, so this sounds like a hypothyroid. It's an underactive thyroid gland. Presumably, well, the most common cause of underactivity is something called the Hashimoto's thyroiditis, where your thyroid gland just gets kind of scarred up and you don't make sufficient thyroid hormone. But no problem, you can just take levothyroxine. You can take thyroid hormone and just basically thyroid hormone replacement therapy and bring your levels up to what you would normally expect. So if you are still tired and your levels of TSH, which is a measure of kind of how your thyroid activity or your levels of thyroid hormone in your body, if that's fine, then you should look for your physician should look for other causes of fatigue. You shouldn't blame thyroid if your levels of thyroid levothyroxine sufficiently suppress your TSH. Okay, Bizarrap. I like to eat the rest of hibiscus tea after brewing. Oh, that's interesting. So hibiscus tea is one of the healthiest teas. This kind of puts the zing in red zinger tea, but you can just get bulk hibiscus flowers, actually sepals, and brew it. What a wonderful summer drink. In fact, it's actually on my list today to make some tea, and I make a nice hibiscus blend. Just haven't had time today, but can you actually eat the hibiscus sepals? The answer is yes. The only concern, I think, is excess manganese content. It's very rich in a mineral called manganese. Why you don't want to drink more than, is it a quart a day of hibiscus tea? You have to check out my video on it. But I don't know what percentage of manganese actually leaches into the water. But if you're, I would presume that it's a healthy thing. In fact, it's like drinking matcha tea. You're actually getting the whole food as opposed to just getting some of the nutrients out and throwing away the rest. I'm trying to think if I've ever. I must have non-fresh hibiscus because they're pretty tough. I don't know how I'd actually eat it, but maybe you have some really nice juicy ones. Okay, Alberto says, any healthy recommendations, alternatives to antiperspirant deodorants? Ones I found in the supermarket are unfortunately not effective for me, especially in the summer. So presumably these are typical aluminum antiperspirants. If it doesn't work for you, well, I mean, if it's really, I don't know, God, if it's really a problem, there's nerve blocks and things you can do to cut down on excess sweating? Is it an odor issue? Is it a sweating issue? I do have videos about deodorants. Mostly it's talking about the safety of the aluminum content, and it really has to do with whether or not you shave your pits before application. Check out that video if you're interested. Okay, over Street says what is the recommended dosage for broccoli sprouts for autism? Oh, any issues with long-term use? So they actually did it based on weight. So look at the video. In my video, I talk about how many broccoli sprouts per kilogram. I think there was like some cutoff where if you were over 30 kilograms or something, you had one dose, and under another. But it is, I believe it's in that video. And if not, you can click on the sources cited. It was in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, one of the most prestigious journals, which is open source, meaning that you should be able to read the study yourself and find out what dose they were using of broccoli sprouts. Any issues with long-term use? Benefits, presumably. In fact, I just had broccoli sprouts this morning. I have a whole big bag in my fridge, which I will eat over the subsequent days. One of the healthiest possible things we could eat, broccoli sprouts. I'm probably eating about half a cup a day. Yeah, the issues should all be benefits. Andy says, hello. Evidently, Alan and Andy met me. I'm still NED. I'm not sure what you mean by NED. Can you speak to the protective efficacy of ingesting soy foods when I'm on an AI with protective efficacy of reframe your question without acronyms, and I will try to answer it. Edo says, how healthy are tiger nuts? I don't think I ever did any videos on tiger nuts. I did do a video on, what are they called? Baru almonds. They're really not almonds. They're like baru nuts. And it turns out probably not a good idea. So I wouldn't just assume because tiger nuts are whole food, whole plant food, that they're necessarily good for you. But I have not looked into it. I'm not even sure. Are tiger nuts nuts? I don't even know. Are they tree nuts? Anyway, something like betel nuts are actually really harmful. So yeah, again, just because they're plants doesn't mean they're necessarily safe and helpful. What are the best changes? Lucia says, or Lucia, best changes for iron deficiency. Treating the cause. So the most common cause of iron deficiency is menorrhagia, excessive blood loss with one's period. You can cut down on blood loss with taking ginger a few days before your period, ground ginger. I have a video on that. There are hormonal things you can do to decrease on blood loss. But if you're still iron deficient, and by iron deficient, we don't mean low storage levels, low ferritin levels, which are actually beneficial, because iron increases the risk of cancer and diabetes, etc. It's a double-edged sword. We want low storage levels, but sufficient iron to make enough blood. So as long as you're not anemic, but if by iron deficiency you mean low ferritin, that's not iron deficiency. Unless it's under 10 or 15. But we really want in that kind of 10 to 50 region. In fact, we have interventional trials where you bleed people, literally have them do blood donations, dramatically decrease their cancer risk, presumably because you're decreasing the pro-oxidant iron levels in the body. It's interesting. The reason we evolved to have these high levels of iron in our body, even though they have toxic effects, is because we weren't worried about dying from cancer. We were worried about dying from blood loss because most people didn't live very long. But we could always get bit by a saber-toothed tiger or something. And so we had to have these stores of iron, but now we have blood transfusions. If you really lost a lot of blood in a car accident or something, you no longer need to have your iron stores. You can just get blood directly. And so that's why we really should try to shoot for low storage levels. But of course, if you're anemic, that can be a serious issue. And so you don't want to, so we're talking about your hemoglobin dropping. In which case, you can eat iron-rich foods combined with vitamin C-rich foods like broccoli, bell peppers, tropical fruits, citrus, etc., that boost the absorption of iron. And then, worst comes to worst, there's intravenous iron if there's a serious issue, or if you have like inflammatory bowel disease, because iron supplements can be it can be damaging to the gut. But there are ways you can take iron supplements that decrease some of the gut side effects. You can take every other day doses. So I actually have a series of videos coming out about treating iron deficiency and kind of the best way. And there's actually been an interesting evolving science, so I'm excited for that. So stay tuned to nutritionfacts.org. Oh, we're running a little short on time. I did want to tell people that, let me pop it up here. Dun, dun, dun. If you subscribe, go to nutritionfacts.org and subscribe, which is, of course, free. And we just tell you when new videos are coming out. We will send you some recipes from my latest cookbook, How Not to Age cookbook. Really excited about it. Been getting a lot of great feedback. One of 3 books I'm coming out with this year, and then 3 books next year. Very exciting. Please check it out. And if you are not already a supporter of nutritionfacts.org, we would encourage you to become a monthly supporter, which keeps a steady flow of revenue to keep Nutrition Facts growing. It's 501c3 tax deductible donations to get evidence-based nutrition into the hands of as many people as possible. Let me see if I can. I think we can do 1 or 2 more questions. Let us jump on that. Where was I? Iron deficiency. What can I tell you about schizophrenia? I have a video. Was it part of the fasting videos? Type in schizophrenia in nutritionfacts.org. I think I only have 1 video on schizophrenia, but it's the only thing I could find. I do have some videos coming out about dietary treatments of major mental illness, but I think they're all on major depressive disorder. I don't know what that question means. And Guinevere in only. What can I do to improve my microbiome after years and years of antibiotics? You can eat a high fiber diet. There's actually a study which randomized people to a high versus low fiber diet. Actually, it was a 0 fiber diet, which is it's kind of hard to do. But they found that those on a high fiber diet reestablished their good gut flora, the balance of gut bacteria faster than those on the 0 fiber diet. So yes, fiber consumption, because you're feeding your good gut bugs with probiotics, which is dietary fiber resistant starch, to get your gut back in order. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you so much, everyone. Looking forward to speaking to everyone next month. And until then,